Hey guys, welcome to the Comic Con Africa chat. Today we're really looking forward to having a good chat with one of the leading, how can I say, how leading content producers, the biggest guy in the industry outside of South Africa. Somto, the founder of Vortex 247, Vortex 247. Somto, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on the show, Steve.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. I know, obviously, your time is so precious. You're doing such a great job on bringing everything to South Africa, into Africa, into the rest of the world, and obviously just exposing the fact that today's Africa Day. So first of all, happy Africa Day.
Yeah, happy Africa Day, bro. I
Awesome,
never
awesome.
even knew of that holiday, but yes.
Hey, we'll take any holidays as we can. I mean, most of us feel like we're on holiday all the time, but we'll just take this opportunity to celebrate everything that we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So obviously we a lot of people don't know they don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't know what those interviews actually all about. So give us an intro into who you are and the purpose of what you're doing with Vortex 247.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I'm super happy to be here. My name is Somto Ajuluchukwu. I'm from Nigeria, Lagos City, and I run a company or an organization called Vortex Corp, which is keen on exporting African culture through the use of comic books, animation, and interactive media. Um, but one of our major projects and business lines is Vortex 247, which is a comic book platform, which is a subscription comic book platform, which gives you access to all African comic books for $3 a month. And the purpose behind Vortex 247 is to bring the most amazing talents in comic books that are, publishers that are doing amazing work, to put their comic books in one place where they can be consumed by the audience, by the public. And it was really born out of a necessity because, different people were doing their comic books in their different corners of the continent, and we found an imperative to unite and bring all those different publishers and different creators that were doing amazing work together, so their work can be easily consumed and discovered. By discovering another person's work, you can get to see another person's work, and the change just continues.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's so powerful what you're doing because there's not many platforms like what you have, especially for the African base. And I think there's so many creators out there that nobody knows about and nobody has seen, nobody exposes. And I think we might be guilty of that in South Africa specifically because we'll just maybe look at either external, so we'll look at outside of Africa, so we'll look at like Europe and America and what they're creating, and then we'll also only look at our South African comic book artists and creators. So what you're doing
Yeah.
is so important, and I think the exposure that you bring to the creators is so important. So with that being said, right, in comparison to the rest of the world, what level of talent would you say Africa has to offer?
When it comes to talent, in terms of story writers to artists, letterers, colorists, I would say we're on the same level.
Awesome.
The comic books that you're gonna read in Nigerian comic books, or comic books out of Nairobi, or comic books out of Rwanda, or wherever in Africa, and then the artists, their works are so brilliant that you almost think you're reading a Marvel comic or a DC comic.
Yeah.
When you think of artists like Ibrahim Ganiyu, Loyiso, Chima Kalu, and a bunch of them, the list goes on. We have so much talent here, and this talent has existed for a while. They've been running in years, developing their talent, and even passing that knowledge to younger artists.
Yeah.
So, the talent base is really breathtaking, and it's really something that needs to be put under the microscope for sure.
I
Yeah,
definitely agree with you, and I think some of our listeners might have heard names that you mentioned that we've never heard of before, which is sad
Yeah,
because I mean we should be promoting and pushing that as a base because I mean us as Comic Con Africa are Comic Con Africa. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not about
exactly,
we should be pushing us first and showing the rest of the world what Africa has to offer. And obviously, like
exactly.
you mentioned, the talent is really up there. Um, like you mentioned, obviously we've got a massive pool in Africa. We've got really great creators and content producers. So what benefit, right? What benefit as African creators, do we have over the creators from say America or Europe?
That's a really tough question. And it's also a really good question because I mean the industry here is, obviously by a large margin way smaller than the industry in the West,
Mm,
or France, or or countries that have embraced comics for centuries.
mm,
Uh, so we're still in our Renaissance period. We're still in the growing curve stage, but um, you know, um, our advantage and our key advantage is in the fact that our stories have not been told. And we
that's
have
so
so
true.
many unique narratives, so many unique storylines, so many characters that bring a breath of fresh air to either the superhero genre or the fantasy genre or the adventure genre. So, in that, there is a lot of strength, and in that, there are a lot of stories, there are a wealth of stories. Currently, Vortex247.com has over 200 comic books
Yes.
from from creators across the continent that are telling amazing stories in both manga, superhero stories, high end fantasy, mecha, mechanical fantasy, and the list goes on and on. So I guess we do have a strong advantage in bringing fresh stories, even to the international market. Having comic books that one day I see as Netflix originals or HBO originals. Just because of how unique
Wow.
the stories are, and when you judge it from the success of the Black Panther, you realize that African culture is very commercial, and
Yes.
our narratives are everybody wants to eat it up. So the purpose of the platform is to expose these stories, not just to readers but even to commercial partners.
That is so rich for what you said. I think there's there's definitely some meat and something different that we bring into the market. And like you mentioned, man, I think passion in African creators stand out from what you said
Yeah,
there. Um,
yeah.
so my next question was going to be: is Africa ready to break into mainstream? So obviously you've answered that question in what you've just
Yeah,
said. So
yeah,
your answer is
definitely.
definitely right. We're definitely ready
Yeah,
for that.
definitely. Yes, we're ready. Of course, like one of the hiccups is because of the funding it takes to produce high quality comics.
Yeah,
um, it does take some time before they're consistent with their stories.
mm,
So unlike Marvel that can bring out these comic books every month or every week, unfailingly, for an African creator, because he's managing client projects, and the revenue for these comic books is still a growing market. Um, it takes a little bit of time before they come up with sequels.
yeah,
But we try to solve that problem with the platform. So while you're waiting for the next Captain South Africa, why don't you read Razor Man? Or why don't
yeah,
you read Land of Gods? Or why don't you read the Zodiac? And by the time you've consumed these other books, it comes round, and then you have the next Captain South Africa. So so we're trying to look for ways to keep the fans individuality. That means someone can come out and say, I love Captain South Africa. Do you get what I
yeah,
mean?
yes,
And I follow that story, but it's tough. But the international market, with what we have on ground, there is so much. There is more than potential to show that we will thrive in the international market space.
yeah. Awesome, man. Do you think do we have any publishing houses or uh, industries that you think perhaps that we could push people towards or get fans to check out or even creators to approach?
Yeah, definitely. There are tons of publishing houses. There's some really intriguing ones like KBS Comics. There's KBS Comics. There's 47 Comics. There's PETA Comics. There's Ilupe Comics straight out from Uganda. They're doing
Yeah.
amazing work. There's Mutundi Rights. That's from Nairobi. They're doing great work as well. There's Vortex Comics. We have a publishing division.
Nice.
We do what they call the VX originals. So just kind of like how Netflix has, how Netflix licenses a bunch of content for the platform. They also have the originals, because they have specific storylines they want to tell.
Awesome,
So
man.
there's so many publishers out there. In Nigeria alone, we have over 15 to 20 active publishing houses, and that list goes on and on, so we're super excited. There's also almost for Comic Bandits,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, very great publishing house as well, so there are quite a number of publishing houses you can, that creators should definitely set their sights to, and Comic Con Africa.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. I think we will definitely, obviously, push people towards those as well, so that they can check them out. I know,
Yeah.
obviously, people create a lot of stuff in on our continent, and they just might not know where to push it towards. But what
Yeah.
challenges? What do you think are the biggest challenges we face as creators, as producers of content in Africa?
I'd say the number one thing is structure, and the second thing is funding. A lot of people want to say funding is the first fundamental issue, but I refuse to believe that, because if you don't have the right structure and the right pipeline system, as regards your production and, the way you carry along your business, funding really isn't going to change that. You're just going to
Yeah.
have more money with problems. So I think definitely structure is one of the key indices, and that's what we're trying to bring to the industry. So when you produce your comics, there's a release plan, there's data that's telling you who's reading your comics, where they're reading it from, and the reading behavior towards your comic books, like how many minutes they're spending on your book, which can also give an indices to how your covers are. Maybe people don't like your covers, but the content is really great, so there's that structure, understanding the audience and understanding what to produce, that's part of the structure. Creating, understanding the markets as well. So African comic books go beyond Africa. One of our key markets is in Brazil. And
Wow.
Late last year, we launched VX Brazil. So we have a very strong presence in Sao Paulo now.
Awesome.
We've been getting a lot of love. We've had a number of big public news articles about us in that space, from Hypeness, Calibre, Afrotusia. Sorry, I'm butchering it. They have a lot. They have a number of Brazilian press that's feeding into what we're doing, because they're big on the spirituality of African culture.
Oh,
And
yes.
they share that bond, and we realize that that's a conduit for another market. So and obviously we've been invited to London at the MCM Comic Con last year.
Yes.
So that's another audience that was excited about African comic books.
Awesome.
It goes on. I mean, we would have been at the SXSW if not for the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So it's really a global market. So that in itself is is it's one thing. And when it comes to the funds, definitely, we need more investors in the space. You know, it
Yeah.
even goes beyond comic books. When you talk of animation, you know, that's a no-go area. If there is no funding, animation is virtually impossible
Yeah.
on any commercial scale.
I
So,
agree with you. I totally agree with you there.
yeah,
I want to just touch on something else. Is that I think it's not just external investors that are important, but I mean fans as well. It's a lot to say fans like something, but I think fans should support it as well. As
exactly.
the community is very very supporting of stuff, and now that people will learn about it a bit more and start supporting and subscribing to Vortex as well,
Exactly.
that's how
Yes,
the
we
industry
need
will
more.
grow as
We
well.
need more subscribers, guys. Tune in on that is vortex247.com. It's literally the cost of bottled water. It's $3. $3. You get over access to 200 comic books every month. We need you. We can't do this without you. The publishers need you. The artists need you. Vortex needs you. Please join the movement. We do this for Africa. These are our heroes. These are our characters. It doesn't
Awesome.
get better. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Before we push people to the Vortex channels and to go check them out and to subscribe, right? Got some random questions for you though.
Okay.
Got some randoms, right? Number one, who's your favorite African superhero?
Ooh, that's a tough one. um, that's a tough one that shouldn't get me in trouble either. But from the bottom of my heart, I do love Strike Guard.
Okay.
It's a character we published. We published for about 3 years, and then it's gone back to his publisher, which is Spoof. But we made over like 16 issues of that. I really
Oh
loved it.
wow.
It got featured on comic book resources as top 10 most influential Black superheroes.
Oh
That
wow.
was like 3 years ago or 2 years
That's
ago.
awesome.
And Another character I do really love is Captain South Africa by Bill
Yeah.
Masuku.
Bubble. Yeah.
He knows that we've been trying to coerce him, like, make this an original, make this an original. you know, Bill is a brilliant creator.
Yeah.
Another comic book I do love is let me think for real. But yeah, I do love Purge. It's a comic
Mm.
book by African American because we're also into bringing in comic books from the diaspora.
Yeah.
Because we feel they share our same narrative, and they also represent our culture in the West.
Yes.
Um,
Awesome.
so it's important for us to form that connection with the diaspora. So a comic book is definitely Purge, and one which I recently started working on, which is Land of Gods.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question, right? Next question is one superpower. One power you can select for the rest of your life. What is that?
Let me see.
Have I put you on the
One
spot there?
superpower would be I would say invisibility.
Okay. All right.
Because I just the kind of guy that likes to just like creep in and not be seen. um, Invisibility, or maybe the ability to read minds, mind
Okay.
reading.
All right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, but mind reading could be dangerous because I might not want to know some things.
exactly. You
But
might there's some
yeah,
minds you might not want to read at the same time.
exactly. Like, you go back and you read your girlfriend's mind and you're like, oh no.
That is so funny. So funny. So now's your opportunity, right? Give us some links, give us some social platforms where we can find you, your website. Obviously, we'll drop it in the comments below as well, so people can subscribe to Vortex 247. But tell us more about where people can find you.
Yeah, the platform is vortex247.com, home of African comics. It's the subscription is at $3 a month, monthly. Same price every month. You know, you don't have to worry your head about that. We drop new comic books and update our catalog almost every week. You know, our Instagram handle and our Twitter and our Facebook is at VX Comics. That is at VX Comics.
Yeah.
And you know, you can also we have a Sunday chat with creators from across the continent, a live Sunday chat where you can join in on VX at VX Comics on Instagram.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much our social media and our website details.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for popping in. Thank you so much for giving us your time on Africa Day. I'm so sure there's going to be so many fans that are going to want to be checking out all your content, all the stuff that you produce. Thank you also for the platform that you create to promote African comics. I mean, the world is ready for it, as we mentioned before. And I think Africa is ready to check out and to expose the website and all the stuff you provide for us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate the time as well, Steve, and Comic-Con Africa having me. I'm super excited.
Awesome, man. So we'll hopefully see you at Comic-Con Africa in the future, in the next couple of years.
Yes,
but we also look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Cheers, Somto. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, like you've seen, Somto's mentioned in the comments below, find out how to get onto Vortex247. Subscribe to the channel, only $3 a month. That's the cost of around about a Big Mac meal or 3 bottles of water in South Africa. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for checking out this interview with Somto. And we look forward to hearing from you guys in the future and chatting to you soon. Cheers.